saying, which is, oh, you know, they use this word like tabab, right? You know, to express, you know, when people question the status quo, when people say, hey, you know, this Ethiopia thing that you're talking about does not serve me. I'm not included in that, right? So he started using that kind of, you know, rhetoric that really made people uncomfortable and question where his heart is, right? Mm-hmm. So all these combined, I think really led to this, and obviously, of course, you know, after, you know, Hachalu Hundesa's death, while people are mourning, you know, he, instead of, you know, comforting the country, he went on to arrest the people, you know, the leaders who people admired and who spoke for the people. I don't care if you agree with, you know, Jawar's, you know, political, you know, leadership style, but he is a person who is loved and respected by large, you know, vast majority of particular Oromo people and even many other you know, marginalized groups in that country. So that really created this anger and to get us to a place where it is very difficult to go back from.
Like you said, I'll just take you back. You said there's a split on ideas of how Ethiopia should look like or how Ethiopia should be governed. The split is actually clear from how people reacted to Hachalu's murder, the killings going on in the country, destruction of property, and the protests that have taken place both in the country and in the diaspora. And we had over the weekend the protest in DC where two young men were shot in DC.
Absolutely.
What does this tell us anyway? Is there no common factor for Ethiopians to unite? And is there no common thing that brings them together? And will any of these groups anyway be satisfied with the other's leadership?
That's a very, very good question. You know, of course, right? You know, when you have, you know, two people who are, you know, really, really passionate, you know, about what they believe is the best for the country, of course, you know, you're going to have, you know, conflict, and you are going to have, and this is going to continue, by the way. It's not something that's going to end very soon. And this is why, you know, it would have been, this was a missed opportunity. It would have been an amazing opportunity to bring these people together and to talk and to, you know, have dialogue and to, you know, have a discourse on in this areas, right? And that's what's missing in that country and also abroad, right? Everyone is shouting on their own corner and no one is really speaking to each other because everyone, we've all have labeled one another, and the leaders are not doing a great job on bringing people together. So until, you know, I think especially those of us who are young and who have sort of a different perspective, come together and discuss our differences, I'm gravely concerned about the state and the affairs of that country, because this is going to continue. This chaos. Can you imagine, you know, the shooting happening in a like United States? What do you expect that's going to happen back home? It would be worse, right? So to answer your question, do we have a common ground? Of course, we have a common denominator. We have a country together at the end of the day, right? But I think it's about one camp understanding the pain and the historical grievances of the other, and the other side also understanding, you know, Never forget that we, the Oromo nation, over 50 million of us, are one of the most oppressed groups in the world. We have been socially and economically marginalized and politically suppressed for over 150 years. Our parents and grandparents have been dehumanized. Their language and culture has been ridiculed. When they spoke against the injustices, they were imprisoned, tortured, and murdered, not just by the current regime, but by the one before that. And they, again, they genuinely believe that in order for Ethiopia to progress, to get back to that golden era, we have to go back to that time where everyone was holding hand and doing iskista and just singing to one flag, to one everything, this united, this utopia view of the world, right? That's one camp, okay? And then you have another camp over here, to which I happen to belong, who say, no. The best of Ethiopia is actually ahead of us. It's a country which we can create. We can engineer the country that could serve everyone equally, fairly, with a just, right? Where everyone have this opportunity is given not based on the language you speak or where you come from, but rather based on a merit, right? So we believe that to have this amazing country that we all want, the solution is not to go back, because going back for us, the history that this camp celebrates, the people that this camp celebrate for us are the people who have oppressed our ancestors, our parents, and our grandparents. So we're saying, no. Let's create a new system by which every one of us can live in harmony and create a prosper country. I have to share this with you real quick. Mm-hmm. When I was in my undergrad, I decided to take one grad level course. So in that course, I was the only Black person, and they all of them were kind of elderly, Caucasian in the class. And then somehow one thing led to another, and the professor asked, what do you guys consider to be the best time of your generation? Without thinking, the majority of them said the 50s, which for them, it was just that was when they thought was the best time, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm sitting there scratching my head. The 50s, it couldn't be the worst time for other group of people. For to take African Americans, that's a moment when they used to say sir to white man and get up from their chair to sit a white man. That was a terrible time to express that, and then we kind of came to some type of agreement, right? In the same way, I'm not trying to compare, the race issues with what we have here, but oppression is oppression. It doesn't matter whether you're oppressed by someone who has a different color from you, or whether you're oppressed with someone who has a similar skin color with you. So here, what you have is, in the same way, the person whom this camp celebrates and worships, for us, it's pain, right? For us, it's the person that has got us to where we are today. So in general, I think this is kind of what's happening. So to move on to why we are here, when Dr. Abiy came to power, for many of us, the hope was that this guy will start out by addressing these fundamental issues within the country, right? Mm-hmm. We were hoping he would start with, for example, the national, reconciliation, bring people together and discussion. Personally, I was hoping that he will spend the first 90 days doing nothing else but try to solve this historical pain and grievances that so many people have before moving on, right? However, the first mistake that he did was, rather than acknowledging this and trying to solve this, he actually leaned too much towards one camp and started advocating for this fake and artificial Ethiopianism that everyone is tired of. Literally, the guy turned into an old used car salesman, right? And he started selling this underneath this, Ethiopia and all this stuff to the people who are saying, look, man, we had this car before and gave us hard time. That's why we want something different. But he kept pushing on people, so much so to a point where he wrote a book about this, right? Explaining why he thinks this this, this Ethiopian, this, people holding hand and singing Kumbaya and forgetting about anything else, about their historical pain and grievances, and basically just let's move on. Let's develop this country. What we need to worry about is economic development, the political, everybody's free now. So he downplayed. And so his view of the pain and the suffering with indifference got us to where we are today. Mm-hmm. To kind of summarize, I hope that that's kind of clear for people who are a little bit confused of like, what is it really? Isn't he like Oromo? Why are Oromos like right now? Can they have enough? This is kind of the question that is kind of percolating in a lot of people.
The question is actually there. People asking online, like the Prime Minister is now Oromo. Most
exactly,
of the positions are
right?
held by Oromo. Can these people be satisfied, for once? And
exactly.
The there,
Thank you. Absolutely. So here's the thing. Oromos have never fought to have Oromo in power. That's not what we're looking for, right? If we needed that, unbeknown to many people, presidents have been Oromos in the past, 30 years, right? Nagaso Gidada, from Nagaso Gidada to, many others as a symbolic. They have put, just some Oromo who didn't care much about the Oromo affairs and even the country affairs. So that's not really our problem. If just to give an example, if Jawar or Marara Gudina or Bakala Garba to become prime minister today, and if they're to shift slightly away from a true democracy and a freedom for everyone in that country, I will be the first one that will be opposing them. I think this is where a lot of people are having a hard time understanding, because their image of the Keros and the Oromos is based on the image that our enemies has perpetuated and have shown us. So we just look like people who just kind of like brutal chaos. No. We want a true democracy in that country. That's what we're not satisfied with just a name. So that's exactly what this guy did, right? Dr. Abiy did. He wanted to just bring people together with this fake and artificial way of uniting, right? And it's like almost two people coming to you after having conflict and saying, hey, we have an issue, can you solve for us? And you say to them, hey, you're with me right now, shake hand and let's start dancing. Yeah, for the moment, they might dance to satisfy you, but when they go away, they're going to go back at each other because you have not gotten to the core of the problem. So that's what this guy, I think he had an amazing opportunity. He had a golden opportunity, and we all had that hope, right? Especially he had the ears of everyone because he was talking about forgiveness and everything. That it was just rhetoric, right? He didn't put it into action, and especially he neglected and overlooked the pain and the suffering of so many oppressed and marginalized groups in that country. So that is the first mistake that he did, okay? The second mistake, in my opinion, was although he invited all the organizations and he's from abroad, he brought them into the country and then just literally left them on the limbo. So people are just going around doing their thing, and he's focused on his own stuff. And we all were questioning, and some intellectuals were also, kind of raising some concerns, right? Because like he was supposed to, because he was talking about reform and about moving the country towards democracy, but when it comes to action, he wasn't negotiating with these parties, with these various parties. By the way, parties is not just regular parties. These are parties who's opposing ideas, right, and ideologies. So to have people like this and to literally just ignore them and just go about your business would, I think, the second mistake, and it was a damaging and a suicidal mistake that he made. That was the second one.
The second one.
And the third mistake that this guy did is, moving a little bit towards the the one side of a political spectrum is one thing, but constantly telling people on the other side the same thing that the other camp has been saying, which is, oh, they use this word like tabab, right? To express, when people question the status quo, when people say, hey, this Ethiopia thing that you're talking about does not serve me. I'm not included in that, right? So he started using that kind of, rhetoric that really made people uncomfortable and question where his heart is, right? Mm-hmm. So all these combined, I think really led to this, and obviously, of course, after Hachalu Hundesa's death, while people are mourning, he, instead of comforting the country, he went on to arrest the people